On to part two, and some unexpected issues coming up. Hey everybody, I'm Brant, and welcome to part two of the Ibanez RG470 setup series. So, I didn't film the last little bit that's happened. Let me get you up to speed on where we're at. So I got a lot of great comments on the last video, and one thing that kind of came up more than once was the possibility of replacing the springs in the claw. Don't know if these are the original springs or if they're newer. If they're the original springs, they're about 20 years old. And also, some people were saying for more tuning stability that they would actually include 4 springs in the back of the guitar. So I considered doing that. I did ask the customer how he felt about that. He seemed a little reluctant to add four springs, just because he likes to dive bomb a lot with the trem bar. So that's understandable, but I did want to replace the springs that were in here, just to make sure that wasn't an issue with the tuning stability. So I backed off on the claw a bit and got the springs loose enough that I could take them out and remove them from the trem system, from the block here, and was in the process of putting the new springs on, which I do have here. I've got 4 of them just in case, but I was only going to do 3. And while I was doing that, I noticed the trem seemed to be lifting up a little bit. So I flipped the guitar over, and lo and behold, what I found was that the bridge posts that hold the trem in place, that actually go here, they were pulling out of the guitar. And I was able to actually pull them out by hand. I'm actually putting this one in by hand now. You can see that. I don't want to mess with it too much because I don't want to mess up the finish around here. But that should not happen. Now, I don't know if it's because this is a basswood body, it's more of a soft wood, and that's why they were able to come out. I'm not really, it wasn't something I was expecting, but I guess it's not that uncommon either. So now my concern is, how in the heck do I fix that? Because you have to have these in, and they have to be pretty solid to keep that bridge in place. So I looked at some videos online. I looked at a couple of different methods. One thing I didn't want to have to do was to have to put dowels in here and re-drill these holes. That is something I am not prepared to do, at least not on somebody else's guitar for the first time. So I reached out to J-Man once again. Gosh, J-Man is the best. And gave him some ideas of what I thought I could do and see what he thought. And he agreed, although he did give me a little tip. So what I thought I could do was that I could wrap these posts, these bushings, that I could wrap some paper, like a newspaper. I saw Phil McKnight do newspaper. I saw somebody else use Teflon tape to wrap around the bushings to give it some thickness, and then add some glue, like a tight bond or a wood glue. in there and then tap those back in. J-Man suggested that instead of using paper, newspaper, or Teflon tape, that I actually use shielding tape or copper tape. And I think I might give that a try. I think that I might give that a try instead of, I was going to use Teflon tape actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this copper tape. I'm going to cut off a little piece and see I'm wrapping it around the bushing here. Then I'm going to add some glue around the outside of the tape. I don't want this tape to be too long, or at least I don't want it to be longer than the bushing. So I'm actually going to cut this. I don't want to go too, I just want to go one pass because I don't want it to be too thick. I'm actually going to cut it there too. That should give me the amount I need. And I'm going to add some wood glue around the outside. And I'm going to tap that back in with the mallet. So, no time like the present. Then I've got to let that set. And I might give it 24 hours. I'm not sure if that's too long. So here we go. I'm going to start taping this guy up. Smoothing it down. There you see I've got it copper tape wrapped around that. Let me use some wood glue. The other thing I need to be careful of is that I don't want to have it sunken in, is what I'm trying to say. I want to have it sitting either just above or flush with the guitar body. All right, so I've got glue on there. Let's try and tap that in gently. I'm just trying to protect the finish. You can even have it slightly above. All right, so there's one. Let's do the other one. All right. And tap that one down. I want to make sure that it's tapped down enough similarly to the other one. Okay. Okay, we're going to see how that goes. All right. So give that some time to dry. All right. Good, they both go down in there pretty good. So I am going to leave those out. I'm going to let this dry. And then we'll see if we can get that bridge reattached.